Welcome to the My Raggedy Herbs podcast. This podcast is for truth seekers, homesteaders, homemakers, and medicine makers who are eager to roll up their sleeves and learn how to make their relationship with God, their family, and their home their first priority. Now here's Lori Coates.
March 20th, 2021 is the spring equinox, the first day of spring. What a glorious time. My grandma used to say my favorite season is fall, but it's closely followed by spring because I love it when the trees begin to put on their lacy new leaves. My grandma and I would often talk about the seasons and what they meant to us. In literature and also in the Bible, winter is frequently the symbolism for death, old age, pain, loneliness, despair, or an end. Conversely, spring symbolizes new life, a fresh start, or a chance to begin again. It's easy to see why people would rather focus on spring instead of winter. In the garden, winter is a quiet, still, and long period. You may say, well, not really, because during the winter months, the winds howl, snow and ice cause damage, and there's still a lot of work that must be done. That's true, except what I'm talking about is not that which you can see above the ground with your eyes. It's the root systems of the plants that lie deep below the surface of the ground. Unlike spring and summer, when new plants are breaking ground or being planted, plants going into the winter are dying back on the surface and sitting still at the root level. The opportunity for their growth for the year has already come and gone, and now their only hope is that they have put down roots deep enough to survive the harsh conditions ahead. Many annual plants, some perennials, and a few weeds tend to be shallow-rooted. It is these that cannot withstand the bitter temperatures and prolonged winter months. However, trees, shrubs, and perennials that have well-developed root systems reaching deep within the soil are able to withstand even the harshest of conditions. Over the course of my life, I have found that gardening is very similar to living. If you plan well, things seem to turn out better. There are annual events and there are perennial events, seeds of all kinds that benefit from being planted in good soil. Everything loves a good old drink of water, and sunshine helps you stand tall. There are seasons in life to put down deep roots and seasons of life to withstand the winter. During the seasons of putting down deep roots, you need to take advantage of that moment. You may be wondering, how does one put down deep roots? Well, I'm glad you asked. As we walk through this life, we need to sink deep roots into God's Word. I have treasured your word in my heart so that I may not sin against you. Psalms 119:1. According to one of my previous youth pastors, the best time to learn what God has to say about purity is not in the heat of the moment in the back seat of a car. We need to learn what God has to say about righteous living before the trials of life come against us. We also need to sink deep roots into family relationships. As the old saying goes, you can pick your friends, but you're stuck with your family. Hopefully, you've been blessed with some great family members, but if not, remember that God is sovereign and nothing in your life is accidental. He knows exactly who you're related to, and that has passed through His hands. The handing down of stories, recipes, experiences, laughter and tears, good times and bad times, creates deep roots and makes for strong people. When life gets tough, you may not always be able to count on your friends, but you can usually count on a family member or two. Roots that are strong and deep sustain even the smallest of plants. They do not worry or doubt that spring is coming. Blessed is the man who trusts in the Lord and whose trust is the Lord. For he will be like a tree planted by the water that extends its roots by a stream and does not fear when the heat comes, but its leaves will be green and it will not be anxious in a year of drought, nor cease to yield fruit. Jeremiah 17:7-8.
The gardening information presented in this podcast is based on USDA Plant Hardiness Zone 7 for Central Oklahoma. Nothing in this podcast or on our website should be construed as medical advice. Consult your healthcare provider for your individual nutritional and medical needs. The information presented is based on our own research and is strictly that of the author and not necessarily those of any professional group or entity. For more information, please visit myraggedyherbs.com.